Missed the chance.
Well, is John coming tonight?
That one thing, always missing. Test. Okay, welcome everybody. Here we are at Northern Neck January 6th Vigil. It is January 10th, 2025, and this is day 1,465 from January 6th, 2021. And we've got some callers lined up here. It's about 7 o'clock. We're going to start off with prayer and a pledge of allegiance, and we'll start off from there, and then we'll end the night at 9 o'clock with the guys from the DC Gulag and sing the national anthem. So stay tuned and pass this around to anybody else that might want to participate in that we hope will not be happening for many more nights. A few more nights, but not after that. All right. Heavenly Father, thank you for giving us the ability to be here together as a group to commemorate and support the January 6ers and their families, and help us to make the right choices as we move into 2025, and to help support our new and returning president to help to take back our country. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I always want to yell, "Justice for all," like they do down in Freedom Corner.
Yeah, I can hear Storm's voice doing that.
No, it's Sherry's voice.
So, Maurice, why don't you give the update on the NPR right off the bat, since that's the hottest news off the press.
All right, give me a second here. We have a few updates, but I'll go straight to the fresh arrests. Yes, that is right. They are still arresting people for speaking their mind. We have Jonathan Wayne Valentour of Boulder, Colorado, was arrested on January the 6th. And his I'm just going to the visual here, his charges line for line look exactly the same as 90% of the rest of them. We have Joseph Charles Valentour, obviously a relative, but this one is from Dayton, Ohio. Wonder how that works. They were together. And the charges are the same as apparently his son. Joseph is 66 years old, and Jonathan Wayne Valentour is 26 years old. So therein lies the relationship. Andrew Kyle Grigsby was just arrested today in Eubank, Kentucky. And word for word, the same charges. Although, apparently he picked up a bike rack and tried to beat a police officer over the head with it, because that's in the charges. I'm paraphrasing with my own ridiculousness on the charge. And that's it for the new arrests. There's quite a few updates. I could take an hour just going through that. But they're mostly sentencings and things. I'm not going to spend an hour on it.
Well, no, but it's a good point to mention for folks. Go to the NPR website. Just look up NPR J6 in your search box, and you'll see this database has been kept up. It's certainly sort of slanted, just like a lot of the DOJ charging documents when they talk about J6 and what actually happened. But they do have the best information in one source other than the Patriot Mail Project. And the other thing you can do is you can click on the charging documents, and I'm going to read the charging document if we get a dead space a little later. But I want to get ready to kick this off with our first caller is going to be a gentleman who has not joined us on this particular forum before, although I did participate with him speaking at a event up the road here in King George County. His name is James Russell Davis, and I'm going to see if I can get him on the phone right now. Now, again, just a little more background. So James was arrested for his participation in January 6th. High level is he pled guilty to one charge, civil disorder. The other charges were dismissed. He was sentenced on October 31st of 2023 to 2 months of incarceration and 24 months of supervised release. And that just scratches the surface of the story he's about to tell us on his treatment for January 6th.
Hello, Tom.
Hey James, how are you?
Doing great. How are you?
We're doing fine. So we're live on our live stream on our Friday night vigil for the January Sixers, and I'm here with Cheryl and Maurice and other people in our audience.
Hi, James.
Hi.
And so for everybody listening again, James Davis, who is from King George, Virginia, and you and I have met in person before and actually gave a joint talk about January 6th a while ago. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking, and I think I've got 15 minutes for you for sure. And if nobody calls, we'll extend it. But around 7:20, I think there's going to be calls from inside the jail.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, everybody. My name is James Davis. I was a GS-12 security specialist, retired, and at the time was working for President Trump's campaign, Amanda Chase's campaign for Virginia for governor, and then also Rob Whitman's campaign. And so on January 6th, I was up there at the Trump rally as part of the campaign teams. I was supported by Virginia Proud Boys because they were providing protection for me because I was up there by myself. And so I was with them, but the Southern group, and I was actually down by the reflecting pool. And we were watching, after the Trump rally, the events going on at the Capitol. They were praying for our nation. They were singing the national anthem. And that's when we saw the Capitol Police firing rubber bullets and flashbangs and tear gas right into the crowd indiscriminately. And it looks like they actually directed it right at the people who were praying, because I saw on the video later some of them actually got hit. We also heard there was a Vietnam veteran Marine down in the middle of the tear gas, and me and this other guy, he was a combat medic, but we just ran up the hill and got into the middle of the crowd, and I lost track of him and never did find the person that was down in the tear gas. But you know, you go into the middle of a zone like that with, you know, people, you know, all bunched together and tear gas going off and flashbangs, and I forgot where I was. And I had some PTSD happen, I guess you could say, and I ran up, you know, to the police officer that I saw after I saw him push somebody down, and you know, I forgot who I was actually talking to, and kind of disrespectful, kind of a belligerent, and I cussed at him and, you know, said, "What the F are you doing? I'm a military police officer. I was in the Marine Corps. You know, I fought for my country. What are you doing?" And within less than a few minutes later, I think somebody was spraying bear spray, and somebody else had gotten a hold of, like, I think the officer's tear gas can or container that they were using, this huge, looked like a vacuum cleaner almost. And I saw in the video that they sprayed right towards the officers. And so I went from being in the back of the crowd to the front line on the lower west terrace. And when the officer had thrown in a tear gas grenade, and he was actually told by his commander, I saw in the video, he was told by his commanders, do not throw that. The wind is blowing our way, it'll blow right back into us, and exactly what happened. So when the police lines dissipated a little bit, that's when the crowd, you know, kind of filled in, and then the police started their retreat. And we weren't pushing the police, they were actually just retreating, and we were just kind of following. We were being peaceful. We weren't attacking the officers. And within, like I said, less than a few minutes after talking to the officer, all of a sudden I'm choking and having to grab onto the officer on the shoulder. I was having a seizure, and I collapsed in between the officer's legs, and then some pages dragged me out. And then about 30 to 40 minutes went by. I was completely unconscious. It took about 3 pages to pick me up and drag me to the corner. And then that was it. And they drug me out area to the left of the Capitol with some woods, and that's all I knew. I went home later, didn't know anything was going to happen in the future. It was like Easter of 2021. God decided that He wanted to get my attention, prepare me for a storm I didn't know was coming. And I had walked away from Christ for 13 years, and He wanted to get my attention, and He used January 6th to do so.
Wow.
I was able to give my life back to Christ on Easter 2021, and because of what He did in my life and changed my life completely, I decided to, I actually became a part of Harvest Men's group in the men's conference, started doing a men's Bible study. So a guy who wasn't even praying, a guy who wasn't walking with Christ, all of a sudden was leading the Bible study. And then I went to visit my in-laws, and on the way back, in Tennessee, we were going to spend a few days in a nice little romantic stay. So we get into our hotel and thinking we're going to have a nice time, and I missed a call when I was taking a shower and get out and find out it was the FBI wanting me to call in, and the deputy sheriff knew I wasn't home and told the other FBI that we weren't home, and because he's watching our house, we were good friends with him, and FBI still raided the house anyways.
They raided the house even with you, without you there.
Yeah, they raided the house. They were looking for my cell phone. They were looking for me, and they knew both were not in there. But they raided the house anyway. Tore down they used a Bearcat to storm the metal door in my house, and twisted it like it was a pretzel, and then ripped off the side garage door, and then opened up every door, looks like, in the house, forcefully, because they left the marks on every door where the door hit the wall. Even the guest bathroom door, they hit it so hard it actually knocked the shower curtain out of the wall.
Wow.
And then they proceeded to empty out every single dresser in their house, every closet, every box. Found an anniversary present that was wrapped, and they unwrapped it and then saw his lingerie and stepped on it. So my wife comes home to that, and just feeling completely violated.
Right.
She had asthma, and she's a kidney transplant patient, and her blood sugar is also having problems at the time, and they made us drive all the way up there, from Tennessee all the way up to DC, to report in that next morning. And at midnight, when we finally arrived to Fredericksburg, Virginia, they made us go turn my cell phone in, and I have narcolepsy temporary paralysis, so if I fall asleep for a few minutes, I cannot walk for a few minutes, maybe 15 minutes or so. And so I had to use 2 canes to walk from my car to the officer to turn my phone in, and then walk back. And then when I got to turn myself into the FBI, I was still using 2 canes, so I was handcuffed. And but the FBI agent who talked to me was like, the person I'm talking to now and the person I'm seeing in the video is 2 different people. I'm like, it's because Christ has changed my life. And so that's how I went in. The whole time, from the time I got notice from the FBI to turn myself in to the moment I arrived in jail, I was praying for the officers, praying for the guards, praying for the inmates that I would encounter, that the Holy Spirit would allow me to be used. And I got to every officer I talked to and told them, you know, I could barely speak. I was having communication problems as well as the mobility problems. And everybody could tell that my heart was for them, that I was praying for them. And they were very respectful. But then when I got to cell block C, I was treated like garbage.
And that's in DC, right?
Yeah, DC. I was treated like garbage, given a piece of bread that they had to brush the cockroach off, and then thrown in a cell, and they even took the canes away. So I had no way to help myself up. When I fell, I was just laying on the floor having a seizure. The inmates yelled at the guards, he's having a seizure, and the guards just ignored me. They could actually look right into my cell, see what was going on, and nobody did anything. And when I finally got to talk to somebody, it was the judge, and he was ready to throw the book at me, and he's like, well, if your attorney and your prosecution hadn't made an agreement, you'd be staying here until your trial. However, you're going to be able to go home. So I was there for 5 hours. And then later, after it seemed like years on pretrial, I finally got my court case. And it was directly after the judge had sentenced the 5 Proud Boys. And I had the same judge, and the DOJ already went after him for not giving them enough sentence. So when it came to my sentence, they were ready to throw the book at me. And DOJ, first the prosecution wanted only a misdemeanor. Then the DOJ said, no, you're giving him a felony. And they tried for the assault. That was the original charge. It was assault on an officer. Indictment said, no, that wasn't assault. That was a medical issue. So then they gave me the civil disorder. And so it was felony civil disorder. And they wanted 8 months in prison as a minimum, 5 months, or 5 years is what they really wanted. But they wouldn't go lower than 8 months. And the prosecution requested that. I gave my testimony to the judge and told him, you know, how Christ had changed my life. And it seemed like the Holy Spirit got a hold of him, and he was ready to sentence me to 8 months, and then all of a sudden he stopped. And he gave me 2 months in jail and 6 months home confinement. So January 6th is what they wanted, but they wanted January 8th, and then I would be released March 7th, and then be on home confinement. And then my home confinement ended on, of all dates, September 11th of 2023.
Huh.
So, yeah, no irony there whatsoever.
That's right.
Important dates.
Yeah. So I go into FCI Loretto, and I'm using a walker. I make it all 10 steps, and I collapse. And they're like, "What the heck?" And this guy's in here for what? For 2 months for being a protester? He didn't even have an officer. What the heck are they giving him a felony for? Why are they putting him in this place of all places?
Right.
But in his condition, because my condition was so bad that, you know, I needed to be in a medical facility. That's what they said. And so they put me in so-called a medical facility, but it was not a medical facility. It was a wing of a jail, a federal prison that was had a door next to the medical
Department.
area. Yeah, they had a dentist and a bed for for minor things.
Right.
But the doctor who called himself a doctor, he couldn't even take he couldn't even take my blood sugar. He had to have the pharmacy tech do it. I mean, these people were inept.
Wow.
James,
Pause right there. Your story is fascinating. You're doing a great job telling it too. It's very compelling. But I just want to remind you, if we get a call from DC, I'm going to cut off and we'll pick up again later at some point, okay?
Okay.
Right.
So I had multiple seizures. The guards would have to hold me down. It was so violent. And they would literally drag me down the hallway in a wheelchair, and I'd pass out multiple times. And it got so bad that my roommates are like, please just send him to the hospital. He does not belong here. He's going to die on our watch and we're not going to be able to help him. And that I was my room was right next to the guard shack, but it still didn't matter. They couldn't respond fast enough. And it finally put me in a hospital, but they didn't understand my medications. Well, they ended up overdosing my meds, the nurses did, and the pharmacist and nurse did at this hospital. And I literally stopped breathing, and they couldn't get me breathing again. And it was our daily bread that morning said, I lie down, I wake again, the Lord sustains me. I never realized how important that verse was until that day, when the Lord literally kept me breathing when they actually almost killed me.
Wow.
At the emergency room, when they brought me from the prison to the emergency room until they could put me in the bed, I was treated like Hannibal Lecter. Literally had chains around my feet to my waist, and the handcuffs were tied to the waist. So when they brought out food for us, I had to eat it, bending over, using my teeth to open up things, and then, tipping the milk back to drink it. And meanwhile, this guy who's looked like he was part of MS-13 in an orange jumpsuit in a different prison, not the federal prison, but a state prison, I think. His arms were free. He was able to, eat with his handcuffs, and everybody's looking at me like, what did this guy do?
Right.
So, but back to Loretto, one of the most disturbing things about that is they put a guy in a wheelchair, having to go out to the pharmacy for 30, 40 minutes. We'd have to wait out in the middle of the blizzard and have to wheel through deep snow and by myself. And so the wheels would just sit there and spin until somebody come along and push me. And I was always another prisoner. The guard would just look at you. They wouldn't touch you. They wouldn't help you. Wouldn't open up a door or nothing. It was really the grace of God sending people to help me get through it. But then they made us stand outside. They only allowed 2 people inside the area of this huge long hallway in the middle of a blizzard. They got everybody else standing outside waiting for the meds or waiting for the PX. And then as you came back, if you didn't get to the door quick enough and the movement order ended, the guard would shut the door in front of you, and you'd sit out for another hour waiting for the next movement in the middle of the blizzard. So I've never seen anything like that before. But these are the conditions that not just J6ers face, but every prisoner's facing.
Right.
It's inhumane. There needs to be a complete change.
Yeah. Wow, that's fascinating. I remembered you talking about that at Loretto. So you were at Loretto for 2 months, right?
Well, basically 1 month in Loretto and then 1 month in the hospital.
Oh, okay.
And they had me chained to the bed under 2 guards at the hospital. And so even though I was having seizures, as a matter of fact, I fell out of the bed once and was underneath the bed, had knocked over the wheelchair and my walker, was under the bed and had moved so much that the chain had wrapped around the bed, and they had to pull all this off and somehow get me unclipped from the handcuffs and the chain to get me back up on the bed, and then they put the chain back on. I was like,
Wow.
I'm having a full-blown seizure. What are people doing?
Right.
And then the nurses actually had to step in and say to the guards, don't chain his arm to the bed. He'll have a seizure and dislocate his arm. So if the nurses hadn't stepped in, it would have been a lot worse.
Wow.
Did you see other J6ers at Loretto while you were there?
I did. One of them was my good friend. He actually, as soon as I walked in there, he's like, hey, welcome to the club. And he started bringing all his PX stuff. He's like, here's a whole bag full of stuff that you're going to need. And when you leave, just give it to me and I'll disperse it to the next guy. They literally took care of our own in there. So
Wow.
me and him, they watched out for me. And even the guards, all the other 2 guards were actually proud of, you know, us standing up as patriots and said we didn't deserve whatever, you know, the punishment we're getting here, especially when they heard mine. They're like, what did you do to get here? That's ridiculous. I mean, so, you know, I have to look at it though. You know, God says that we are to obey the government and, you know, and obey his commands. And when we disrespect the government, we disrespect the police, we are disobeying God. And so I have looked inside and said, yeah, I've made some mistakes. I was walking with pride and anger, and I walked down the path of destruction. I had several people tell me to stay away that day, and had I listened to them, I wouldn't face this. But it's been a hard lesson, but it's been a good lesson, because it's really caused a lot of spiritual growth and a lot of spiritual reflection. And I think the greatest testimony about this is I have an unconditional loving, unconditionally forgiving wife who, at 25 years, at the time when you think everything should be falling apart, because of Christ, our marriage and our faith was stronger than ever when I needed it the most. And he also brought us into a church home. We lived in King George since 2005. He brought that church home to us in 2022. So, you know, right before I would be put on trial, right before I would go to jail. So I had a family that was looking out for my wife, you know, and was going to take care of her for those 2 months I would be gone.
So from your initial contact from the FBI, when was that roughly, and how long were you sort of feeling that pressure or the watchful eye?
I didn't know anything was going on until July 28th of 2021, and that's when I had to turn myself in. And where they came up with the evidence, I have no idea. I have a feeling the people that were, well, let's just say, all the people that were in my group, of this Virginia Proud Boys group, only one other person was charged, and he destroyed the media equipment and threatened his family. Everybody else was not.
Huh.
So we're the leaders, and what they did was much worse.
Right.
You know, FBI informants.
So your call in Tennessee on your way home was the first that they contacted you?
Yeah.
Holy crap, I didn't realize that. Wow.
And on top of that, it was 2 weeks after I became chairman of the King George Tea Party and had gone to the Virginia Tea Party conference. Exactly 2 weeks.
Another correlation.
Yeah. So I think the fact that I was security specialist at the Pentagon, in charge of 3 different presidential and Republican campaigns, and then when I became chairman of the King George Tea Party, and they're like, whoa, this is too much, this guy's too active. He's also in Virginia Citizens Defense League, you know, protesting the Second Amendment rights. You know, he's just too active, knows too much.
Right.
And what was really interesting is we could see that Antifa knew exactly where the police were, where the barricades were, where every open door was, and they even knew military flights, what was on the flight, when it was going to land. They had inside information. They knew when every J6er was going to get released from jail and have to walk from the jail to the courthouse for their trial, so they could harass them the whole way. They had inside information.
Right.
So looking forward to the deep state going away. And what Jesus says, you know, what has been held in the darkness will be brought to the light.
I
And
can't
Jesus
wait.
is the light of truth.
I can't wait. I tell you, it's exciting. It's invigorating. It's a little bit nerve-wracking. You know, we're 10 days away from pardons, we hope, or less, depending upon how you count the days.
Yeah. But I mean, I was even told that a electronic golf game I was in, they actually brought out some information from a trial.
Huh. Yep.
And the only connection there was Facebook, because I logged in on Facebook with that game. You know, so nothing is sacred. Nothing is safe. If you say something, it's recorded.
Right.
I mean, we talked about getting the new snowblower, and my wife's like, you were just talking to somebody on the cell phone about that. She got it on her Facebook page for an advertisement for it. It's like nothing is sacred anymore.
Right.
So unfortunately, had this election not gone the way we wanted it to, it could have been a lot worse. But I don't think we should ever take a reprieve. This should be a hard lesson for all of us. Our First Amendment rights are priority number one.
That's right. That's
The
one.
right to freedom of speech, the right to freedom of religion, the right to protect our families.
Right. Couldn't agree more. So. All right.
How do we make that happen?
Yeah,
How do we make it never happen again?
but how do we make it never happen again? By people knowing the truth. We've been given our freedoms back, and the president needs to know everything that's happened to every J6er, and there needs to be a full investigation. And it's so disheartening when Biden is selecting these J6 commission people for Presidential Medal of Freedom, while the real patriots, the real patriots actually sit in jail.
Right.
They released the criminals and they supported the illegal aliens over veterans. They released the criminals and they put the patriots in jail. They put pastors in jail. They put Christians in jail. Our persecution is around the corner. The Bible says so. So we just need to get prepared for that. But are you going to stand? But I'd rather be judged by God than be judged by the world. Or I'd rather be judged by the world than be judged by God. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, I'd rather stand for Jesus than be judged by Him.
Right.
So that's my lesson I've learned. I'm still standing here as a patriot, still ready to stand up for Christ. My focus has changed though. It's not 24/7 news. It's how can I share Jesus with somebody today.
So what are you doing now then in that regard? And have you been speaking out more about January 6th since we last met? Are you getting on any forums or, continuing to tell your story?
I have continued to tell my story as a testimony at different men's breakfast at our church, at another men's event at another church online. I've talked to some. I've actually joined the Promise Keepers again. And have shared my testimony with them. So people are finding out, and I'm hoping that I got on the J6, what do you call it, retribution claim.
The lawsuit, the class action.
Yeah, I want to share this testimony with the lawyers so they know. My focus is, what can I do for Christ today? I'm having J6 is a bad memory, a bad dream. I've never done a single thing wrong in my life. Never disrespected a cop until that day. So it's something I definitely want to put behind myself, but at the same time we can't. We have to keep it. We have to keep telling our story, because if we stop telling our story, then no one knows. Then there's people that don't know.
All right. And if they can do it to you, they can do it to any single one of us, and that's what we've got to change. And this whole idea of, indicting ham sandwiches, getting people and throwing them into jail and finding the charges later, which is what they did for most of these J6 charges. I mean, they had the easy grab bag of trespassing, remaining in a government building or grounds, and they could grab any of those 3 or 4 simple, but they needed more, So in your case, you fell against a police officer, right? That's what.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I leaned on the shoulder of the police officer as I was going down. I was actually talking to him, and then he couldn't hear me, so I leaned in and was starting to talk to him. So I put my hand on his shoulder as for stability, because I was kind of shaky. And then as I was talking to him, I went down. And the prosecution and the what was it called, the seditionists hunters or whatever they called themselves, they blasted those pictures, you know, where it looked like I was grabbing a hold of the officer. Well, the picture of the officer, what they showed of the officer, it looked like he was trying to grab a hold of me or something. Like he was trying to push me away or grab hold of me or something. And he was trying to grab a hold of me to prevent me from falling. And so if you actually see the video and played out, it shows me literally falling and the officer reaching for me and missing. And then I just laid on if you guys see me, I'm laid on the ground. The Gateway Pundit actually put out an article that says, you know, Trump supporter dead or unconscious. So they didn't know if I was dead or unconscious in that report. There's 3 people listed, you know. But yeah, that was my contact with the officer.
Wow.
And how is society treating you now that you're out?
Well, when it first came out, my neighbor, who I've helped with her driveway and everything else, she was the first one to call me a racist. My presidential lakes neighborhood, they blasted it out on Facebook, and I had quite a few people against me, but I had quite a few people like, no, this guy's he was a post-commanded American Legion. They know my character. They know who I am. They know I'm not a racist. I did lose a friend temporarily over it, but now I'm back talking to him. Now that he and I have come to an understanding. And my neighbor, a couple of my neighbors have come out and talked to me. I'm still working on the other one that was the first one to call me a racist. I'm still rebuilding a relationship. But that's going to be done in Christ, not through me. So, you know, God will put healing and restoration to all of this. And it says, you know, with the locusts of eating, He will bless and rebuild triplefold. And I truly believe that.
And I think the truth is the part you mentioned it earlier, that once people, they're somewhat refusing to believe the truth, to see it. They're so indoctrinated. They believe the lies that were put out by the Department of Justice and mainstream media and all of it. So once that truth comes out, I think that's going to help to rebuild a lot of those. People are going to have to ask themselves some questions. Why did I treat James that way? You know?
Yeah. I've lived here since 2005. You know, I didn't change in one day to be a racist,
Right.
A white supremacist. Treat like a domestic terrorist. That's another thing. Every time I go to visit my family in Florida, if I fly, I'm treated I'm in a wheelchair and I'm having to be searched. Everything's searched, all my bags searched. I'm having to get up out of the wheelchair, be searched, and at the security thing, and then once I get in line, before I get on the plane, searched again like that.
So is that what's the label have given you? Domestic
It's
terrorist?
the same. It's the same as Tulsi Gabbard, domestic terrorist. Yeah, it's the friendly skies or whatever they call it, or bright skies. Whatever Tulsi Gabbard faced, I faced that too. My bank and my credit card also canceled me, so that was fun too. Everybody that went woke, you know.
Well,
you purchased ammo. You no longer represent a customer we want to represent after 20-some years.
right. Wow. Well, so when we talk about reparations or restitution or all those things, that's part of it that the administration needs to deal with, because we need to give you back those freedoms that have been taken away. That's ridiculous. I've heard some awful stories about people being searched. You know, family members, a child having to a lady having to open her child's diaper up for them to look into it.
Jeez.
You know, crazy stuff.
Yeah, and you know, that's something I'm definitely looking forward to getting back, is my ability to fly without being searched like a domestic terrorist. And you know, if they had looked at the military, you know, the 2 guys that were in the Army that were part of the New Orleans terrorist attack were in the military. DEI hires probably. Everything went woke, you know. If they had looked at the actual terrorists instead of looking at getting rid of all the white supremacists in the military, if they'd actually looked at well, who's actually supporting terrorism, who's actually being indoctrinated. Could have prevented what happened in New Orleans and Las Vegas. But their focus has always been on white supremacists. Even Biden's still looking at white supremacists as the domestic terrorist.
Right.
We're not the domestic terrorists. The billions of illegals you've let in from China, North Korea, different Arabic countries that are ISIS and Al Qaeda and Taliban and China, and just we've flooded, and not only flooded into the southern border, they've actually flown them in.
Right.
They've actually flown them here.
Right. And there are organizations in other countries that help them figure out how to get there and do it. These PPOs, is that the right word? NGOs. Thank you. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, listen, this has been fantastic. We can keep talking, but I've just, like I said, the DC jail is supposed to try to call us at 7:20. That person didn't get through, so maybe 7:40. And then we know we're going to have calls at 8. So again, you can talk for as long as you want until the phone rings. Okay?
Yeah, it was an honor to have been with that last call with the guy over in I think it was Fredericksburg,
Yeah.
the Northern Neck Jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to hear those guys singing the national anthem, and to hear that they're, doing Bible studies, that was one of the coolest things. God put me.
Yeah, that was Dominic Box, and he led us in the national anthem, and he was in the DC Gulag at that point. But yeah, so that was great. I really felt that came together just great for us.
Yeah, and that's the coolest thing is the testimonies from James Grant and Dominic Fox, both Christian men.
Right.
Both have definitely been touched by God during this time. Yeah, during this time of trial, God has prepared us. Why are we here at such a time as this, to go through such a time as this? And God prepared us for all this. And in the trial, when we thought we were alone, He was walking through it with us. When I couldn't do anything, He physically carried me. When I was weak, Jesus was strong. That's what I got out of that. To see that these guys, they don't let anger, we're not sitting here angry at the FBI, angry at the government. We're actually forgiving them, as Christ forgave us. And we pray for the guards and the police officers and other inmates that treat us and persecute us and disrespect us, because that's what Christ told us to do. And that's what these guys are living, and they shared that call.
Right.
And I think that was the greatest takeaway from that evening.
Yeah. Well, and again, it was another connection. I'm glad that you two are staying in contact and telling your stories. And like I get it on what you're saying. On the one hand, you want to move on from January 6th, but at the same time, it is the crucible, I guess, of all these things coming together. And your journey out of it through your faith, and just listening to you sound just wonderful, really. I mean, you sound like you're in a good place, James, and
I had to go through some counseling. There's definitely some nights that, first couple. I mean, I was so afraid to come home. I actually had my wife drive me to the VA hospital because I was so afraid of the seizures that I was having and how I was going to react being home, and I was glad I did. But because it was taking 7 guards and nurses to hold me down during a seizure, so I can't imagine my wife doing that by herself.
Right.
So I was glad I did go to the VA, and once I got off of the meds they had me on and got back on my proper medication and regimen, everything kind of went away. Of course, the Lord brought healing. My wife had to hold my hand and hold me at night. So, I would find myself, panicking, breathing with no CPAP on, just like I was in jail, and she'd help calm me down. So, I mean, the Lord gave me the angel as my wife. That's all I got to say about that.
Well, tell her we God bless her, and we're going to let you go and pick up again later on. I'm going to take this call from DC. Thank you, James, so much.
All right, God bless, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Hello, this is a prepaid debit call from
An inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility.
To accept this call, press 0. To refuse, this call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording.
Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Happy
Hello,
New
can you
Year.
hear me?
Happy New Year, Olivia.
Hey,
Happy New Year! How's everybody doing?
we're doing all right. We're doing great.
We're inside, we're warm.
It's freezing here. I feel like we're about to get a big winter storm come through, and the cell, I just came out of my cell, and it's so cold.
Really?
Those walls, so I know it's cold outside, so I'm glad you're inside.
Yeah.
A lot more pleasant.
But yeah.
No basketball.
Well, you're not used to this climate anyway, right? Being the Floridian. Have you been doing it your whole life? Or?
No, sir. Yeah. I've been in Florida my whole life, so the cold weather is anything below 60 degrees. So this is extremely cold.
So you are no longer your former spoiled self.
All right. My first DC winter. It's been nice and cold.
A balmy.
But yeah, we had a big, right. It was nice seeing the first snow. We had a couple of inches, or quite a few inches the other day. Everything shut down, and it was nice to see. Unfortunately, we couldn't go out and play with it and have snowball fights, which we all were trying to convince the COs to let us do, but it didn't work. But it was still nice to see outside. But yeah, it's been a good New Year's, Christmas, New Year's. The 6th was our 1-year anniversary of being here, or not here, but being arrested. We were arrested on the 6th, and then we got here February 6th. So it's been a year for sure, but just reflecting over the, all God's shown us and all that, we've seen and experienced. It's definitely been a life-changing year, and I feel like so much is, everybody's excited. They're coming up inauguration on the 20th, and I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I have my hopes up now. I try not to, but now they're up. But either way, our eyes have definitely been open to what we've seen in, the jail system and the justice system, and how broken it really is. And it's just sad. We've been dealing with a lot of stuff in our unit just these last couple of weeks. Just the basic necessity of trying to get an extra blanket when it was really cold, you'd think would be easy. And it's like you got to fight for everything you get in here, and it shouldn't be that way. And I'm praying that we have so many eyes on the inside now with so many people that's been through this, that we can, if the pardons come and if we do get let out, that we can do something about it. We can change that, hopefully, and be that voice that's seeing the atrocities and seeing the way that prisoners are treated, and just left to rot. The court system is so backed up that they just hold people here. That's what breaks my heart. They hold, there's mothers here that have 5-month-old babies, little kids and stuff that they could be home with, and they're just holding them here, not giving them pretrial, not giving them a chance to just, show up. They just lock them up, and they're sitting years waiting for their court date, and they're not even, proven guilty.
Right.
There's, what happens to innocent until proven guilty, and that's not what we've seen. It's not true anymore.
Right.
In our country, and that's something that's got to change. And I'm praying, God put it, we didn't know what that day was going to entail, and had no idea that it was going to end like it did, but these last 4 years, it's been, very eye-opening. I never had experience with all this, and now, now I know, and now I understand, what other people have been going through, and yeah, it's definitely politically driven in our cases, but, there's so many pointless and, just hyped up charges that there's so many women in here that could go home today on stuff that if they had done it in another city, or if they had done the same exact thing in Florida, they would have been fine. It was a self-defense type thing, or if you carrying a gun in your car and they're stuck in here on carry charges and all this stuff. What happened to being able to defend yourself in the United States, and that's not the case in D.C. If anybody knows D.C. law, there's no self-defense laws. There's no, and then all these hyped up drug charges and stuff. It's sad. We're just packing our prisons with people who could be home, living their life, being good citizens, and with their families. And I'm just praying, through this we can be a voice for that.
I think you're right. You're right on it. I mean, it is the prison industrial complex. It's all about the money, and it's not about rights. But it is also an unintended consequence of January 6th when they arrested almost 1,600 Americans. Many of those Americans, very patriotic ones.
Right.
And you're right. We've through you have gotten a look inside this system, and it's not pretty at all, and it needs to be fixed.
Yeah,
right.
It's
and that's what.
You've hit on a number of really powerful points. Truly, nobody can speak to the corruption of the system like a J6er. Nobody. And it's a message that needs to get out, because if you look around, like you just pointed out, there's people in there, they're in there for stupid stuff, and that exists throughout coast to coast. Coast to coast, that stuff happens. And so there's people that came before you that are now going to benefit from your voice. They didn't have one before January the 6th, and so now you've got, you're going to actually work miracles for an awful lot of people.
And that's what I'm praying. Like, I know, good things don't ever come without a little bit of sacrifice and a little work put into it. And I said, I had no idea what was going to happen after, January 6th and all that happened at the Capitol. We didn't go in with the intention to storm the Capitol, but we were met with police brutality, and now we understand, the whole system. And if we can't, what they wanted to use for evil, I'm praying God uses for good, and I know He will. We've learned so much just these past 4 years that we would have never known if this hadn't happened. And I'm just saying, we can't forget, like, all the other J6ers that are out there. We've seen inside. We know firsthand experience on how it works, and and how it doesn't work. And I just pray, when we get home, the first thing we want to do is go home and, be with our families and never have to deal with this ever again. But I pray that we don't fall into that trap of forgetting. We go home and spend some time with our family, but then keep working. The job, that's just the next chapter of our life is starting. And, we have a voice now for all these other prisoners that aren't able to, going to come out with us. And that's what I said. I was like, I wish I could just take, get a big suitcase and take you out with me. But, if that's not the case, know that I'm going to be a voice for you, because you're not going to be forgotten. And that's what, there's been so many people that's been dealing with this for so long. But yet, because of the mass, just arrests and stuff that happened with January 6th, we've seen, good people just thrown in jail, and now it's being exposed, and now, the light's shed on the inside, and we can't let that go to waste, because there's going to be, generations after us that could benefit from what we've seen and what we've been doing something about it, just like you said. And I don't know, there's so many things that need to be fixed. And now, coming into New Year, you want to make New Year's resolution, and ask God to, just guide you in what direction that you need to go. And, I pray that everybody's kind of looking and seeing, where does God have me for my next journey, my next step in life. It's running for office in your local area, or, getting behind somebody, or, trying to get policies passed to get this fixed, but it's like, that's what, you know, there's so many places you could go and you could just run around and be like busy work, but, you know, these last 4 years, I've learned firsthand experience just what it means to ask God to direct you. And it's like, you get goosebumps in those days when you're like, Lord, I don't know what to do next. You know, I need the answer to this thing, and somebody shows up in the yard, or you get a phone call from somebody you hadn't heard from, and that, you know, that question is answered, or you know, just things like that. And it's just like, that's the next step. And then God doesn't show us, I feel like, you know, God's word is a lamp unto my feet and a light in the path. That lamp, it's not a big spotlight. You don't get to see way down the road. You don't get to see the outcomes of each step, but he gives us a lamp that it shines in front of us. We just got to have faith to take that step, and then he'll shine into the next step, and he'll carry us through it. And yeah, you may have to spend a little time in jail. You may have to, you know, go through some hard times and tough and step out of, you know, your comfort zone, because I mean, even calling out and, you know, speaking, I do not like speaking in front of people, and, you know, but it's like, but God's put me in a place where I gotta have a voice now. I got to, you know, I can't just be comfortable anyway. I got to get out of the mundane, every day, go to work, come home, you know, go on vacation once a year kind of life. We gotta step out and get to work. Otherwise, our kids are going to have to go through the same exact thing we are, and I don't want to see that happen, you know. And that's what I'm so thankful for all of, you know, even y'all there and the ones at Freedom Corner and the ones just have been such a voice for us. It's overwhelming and humbling, and I just thank you. You know, you brought a community to us that we would have never had had it not been for all of y'all that, you know, connected different ones and reached out and made sure we had what we needed, and if we needed resources, you got them for it. And, you know, that's priceless, and I know we'll never be able to repay back, you know, the gift that was, but I pray that God does for y'all, and now that we have that connection and we have that, you know, community, man, we're gonna, you know, we can get so much stuff done, I believe, and we just can't get caught up in the pettiness of. We were talking, so Rachel Powell came in last week. She had resentencing on the 6th. Sorry, I'm gonna get the sidetrack real quick because I want to throw this in there. And I knew her. She was on house arrest, and I was on ankle monitor. We had got to know each other through a prayer vigil where we called in and would pray with each other every day or every Wednesday. And I got to know her a little bit, and so she came in Friday, and I was doing the workout. The boys had sent me this crazy workout, and I was doing it right in the middle of it, and she kind of looks over at a bunch of people had just come in, and she looks over, she's like, "What's your name?" I told her my name, and I looked up, and I'm like, "Wait," I was like, "Are you Rachel Powell?" She's like, "Yeah." So it was kind of cool. She ended up being in the cell right next to me, and of all the units and all the cells she could have gone in, we're next door neighbors, and so it's been neat, talking with her and getting to, reminisce. We've been in almost about the same exact time. She was just in the BOP, and I was in Hazleton, and I was here, and so, we were just exchanging stories and the stuff that they've seen over there. I'm like, man, they had it worse than we had it, and, but we were saying, now we have that community. Yeah, I'm from Florida, and she's from Pennsylvania, but we have that common connection, and now we can use that to, hopefully get some work done, and not for, just be that much more of a force going forward.
Well,
and I thought that was kind of neat.
That's fantastic. Cheryl wants to ask you something, but to say hi to Rachel. I got to meet her boyfriend on January 6th. Nice guy. Just let her know that we said hello to her. Please.
Oh, okay.
Well,
all right, I will.
I just wanted to ask,
yep.
What are your plans? What are your plans when you get out, when you go home? Are you gonna go back to work, or just relax? And
I'm taking a little time off.
You have 1 minute remaining.
I feel like I'm gonna take it easy for a little while, and hopefully help my mom and dad out a little bit with some projects they need to get done. We've kind of they've been helping us so much. We got to repay them a little bit and just enjoy the family is what I'm looking forward to. You know, you see when everything's taken away, that's I feel like what I've seen that is important in life is relationships, the people around you. You know, going to work and making money just to go to work and make money, just to spend it to go to work and make money is not what life's all about. And it's about, you know, building those relationships with the ones God's given you around you. And so that, yeah, that's hugging my nieces and nephews and seeing them, and oh, I can't wait. But yeah, it's gonna be good. But I'm not gung ho to just jump. I'm gonna go to work, but it's not gonna be just the everyday right back to that kind of work.
Yeah. Wow. Well, fantastic talking with you.
Thank you for using Global Tellink.
I hate those long goodbyes.
Yeah, again, that was Olivia Pollock, and she and her brother, Jonathan Pollock, were both arrested on January 6, 2023. So, yeah. But again, what a beautiful message from her and her brother and so many others, and James, the rest of them. I mean, they're getting the positive. They're seeing through the positive of all this horrendous nightmare that they've been through, and listen to them. I mean, that's just encouraging to have that kind of a response. So I'm going to go check the camera. So just a couple of visuals here. This is James Grant. I'm sorry, James Davis.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from
John Manuelos.
an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. Your current balance is $13.52. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello.
Hey, John, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Hello, all the radio listeners out there.
Yeah,
Happy to hear your voice, John.
at least we're in the we're indoors, not freezing outside, so that's a good thing.
Yes, that's good. Sound like the guys from the other visual. they like freezing out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've got their hand warmers and you know and things like that, but you're right, it's
I
cold.
hope they have their propane accessories.
Yeah.
How you guys doing? How you guys hanging in there? How you guys feel?
Feel good. I'm excited. I mean, I can't believe it. Today's the 10th, but that's not 10 days to go, right? That's the way you guys are counting. I understand. You don't count the today because it's almost
No.
over, right?
You don't count the weekends, so it's like 5 days.
Hutchinson explained it how we should count our days. So I think we're possibly down to 8 days.
That's what I hear.
And we'll all be watching the
Going on out
inauguration.
On the 19th, you guys are coming, right? And then the 20th, you guys are going to stick around for the inauguration.
We're not going to go to the rally. I'm not going to go to the rally on the 19th. I'm going to sit
You're
home
just
and have
gonna
my
watch it?
popcorn.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll watch it if we can't be there, that's for sure.
Well, Trump is having a rally on the 19th in D.C., and it's National Popcorn Day. So you have to grab your popcorn and watch the rally.
How the pieces fit.
My mama seen Cowboy Logic. She can't stop talking about him. So he really dresses like a cowboy, huh, too?
Both of them do, yeah.
Yeah, I see them, yeah. Can't wait to get out there, put my cowboy hat and my ostrich belt myself.
Good. Yes, indeed. That's your picture that I've seen. It's I think it's a black hat that you wear, right?
I wear a black hat, yes. 100 X's with my ostrich belt.
All right.
Yeah, I hear you got a haircut. You cut all your, your long hair off, and now how short is it?
It's pretty short. Yeah, I cut it off. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the riskiest part though is that you trusted Dominic to do it.
Yeah.
He's a practice. He's a man of all trades. So he's trying to.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
Do you have to go to a special part of the prison, jail, to get your hair cut? With the, out of the, see, the designated barber for all of the pod?
No, not really. Not here. Here, they just bring in the equipment with the sanitizer, with the blue stuff, all the stuff that disinfects, and then the trustee, Box is a trustee, and with Johnny is a trustee, so they get to cut their hairs.
Okay.
Not charging as much as I would like to.
Box was on Cowboy Logic too. Did he do pretty good?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, he did. The boy's got a following. I don't know, the rest of y'all need to speak up a little bit louder because, Dominic, he's gonna dominate.
Dominic,
Yeah, no. We can't. He's been a car salesman, and all that. He's been working with that kind of stuff, so he's pretty good at it. That kind of journalism and stuff like that. So he's a professional. He knows how to do it. And plus, we leave it to him. And I think Freddie and Uncle Bob do a good job too. And I haven't heard Johnny and Hutchinson do their show as they do every day.
Yeah. But I don't think Dominic breathes in between sentences. He just has one. He just continuous. He doesn't. You have to have interrupt him to. You want to say something.
Yeah.
So, how's the climate in there now? Are the guards like talking to you different now than they did in the beginning?
It's hard to tell.
To be honest with you, you just kind of stay in your lane and just humble yourself and really. It is what you can't be it. You can't be Superman. Not in here. Not if you don't want to go to the hole. And you gotta just kind of. It is what it is. It becomes favoritism towards some people. And that's just what it is. They don't open the door for you. You just gotta wait for the next round. So it's just part of the game. I don't see no problem because I stayed in the TV room area where I guess the guys just leave. Everyone just pretty much leaves me alone and they leave me in that room. So they don't mess with me and Johnny Hutch. They're already like winding down, locking down in their room. And so pretty much everyone's pretty much. I think my opinion is everyone knows that. Hey man, no, we can't get in trouble. Gotta kind of stay low and plus, with a good bribe, the inmates, if they think we're gonna leave, I give them chips or whatever, and so like that they don't get like, and I tell them, no, we're not leaving, man. We're just, just so they don't think that we're feeling like, oh man, we're out of here. We're gonna leave you guys behind, and I kind of, just kind of, not bribe them, but like feed them so like that they don't, they don't feel some type of way with us. Just to be aware, just to be alive in here. You never know. One might have a bad day on the phone or something, and you just got to be aware. Just stay away from that person and just kind of be aware of the plots and schemes that these 20-year-olds have sometimes. They don't know the concept of a win-win. They only know lose-win. And there's plenty of books left here for them, so there's no more excuses. But it's just the way it is.
Are you starting to pack up your belongings now?
I I'm a minimalist, so I have, the only book I really thinking of taking home is, the Victor Franco book, Man's Search for Meaning, and hopefully I find the book that I was reading, by Dale Carnegie. Took me like, I finished reading another book called, Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, and another good book. But those are the only two books I really want to take back, or I might just leave here for some of the guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you like the Stoic philosophers then?
Yes. I like how his uncle and his mom were teaching him how to be the guy that he ended up being, and how he had to have someone to remind him, oh, you're only human, you know, and it's just kind of the stories of how, almost like biblical, like kind of, it's almost sounds like, it's a great book, it's just a great book. I also read The Prince, I like self-help books too, so a lot of self-help books. Jordan B. Peterson books, 12 Rules for Chaotic Life, that one's good about the patriarchy, matriarchy, and the lobsters, and how, everything that, just good, all around book, good book, talks about everything there.
Wow, so do you have all those books in your possession, or are they ones that you borrow and you pass around?
You borrow and you pay. The good ones, like the one I like really that kind of stuck out to me is that Dale Carnegie book. That I like the stories about the people and like biographies. I like those. So the one I'm trying to keep, but you gotta pass them around. You can't be selfish. But that's the one. I was trying to have them not ask you about, hey, can I borrow that book? I kept it as long as I could, and then someone told me, hey, are you done with that book? And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, I had to give it away. That's and Victor Frankl, that one I kept for myself because someone sent it to me. So I told people, hey man, look at this book, and then the people that I really think that they're gonna be like, that I want to be invested in, I give them the book, but right away I give them a timeline that I want my book back. And,
yeah. Well, you continue when you get home.
Yeah, the Victor Frankl book is just what he had to go through, and it's almost like the Book of Job, and it makes everything seem way easier. Like the stuff that we're going through is like, oh man, this ain't nothing to what they had to go through over there in the concentration camps.
Yeah.
And we're living in paradise compared to what they're going through, what they went through, and so it makes it real. It brings everything to perspective.
Perspective, yeah. Wow, that's good. That's good. All right. Well, what are your thoughts on the fact that we were able to seat the Congress, right? Got to swear people in. Got Mike Johnson reelected, so that was important. What do you think the next big step is? Is it Inauguration Day on the 20th?
I like watching what's going on around the world, because that's pretty much gonna see. Mike Johnson's the guy with the glasses, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think, wasn't he already in office already? We're just rehiring him.
Yeah, this is the new term, just reaffirming that, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it could have gone another direction too,
Well, I wish we would have gone another direction, because when you get in these like power stuff, you gotta see who's on your team and who's gonna be loyal, and it's another ball game. You really have to. That's why I like Russia, man. I'm pro Russia, and I like how Putin works and how he conducts himself, and because you have to. And these circumstances that he's in, man, he's dealing with a bunch of people that don't want to listen. That still keep talking shit about him, and that are leading the people to be divided. When it's obvious that if we continue going on this division, we're gonna end up making some huge mistakes, and complicated, man. But I think I like to watch the stuff that's going on over there in Korea, and it's like, you know, stuff like that could have happened to President Trump. Like I heard, I guess they're trying to lock up the president of South Korea or something like that. And,
Yep.
and like Taiwan and stuff like that. And Venezuela, the president that claims to be president, but the other one took power and stuff like that. Because that's going to determine the people that are going to want to cause terrorism to this country. So Donald Trump's on the right track about Greenland and the Panama Canal, and I guess these Democrats don't realize that we don't live in this fairy tale life where there's some real bad guys out there, and we really need to think twice and move once on what we do, because there's some people that really don't like this country, and we have to be aware of all this stuff. Yeah, I agree that about Greenland. I agree about the Panama Canal, because it's been happening. They're just waiting for a good opportunity for us to continue being sheep and being led to the slaughter. And Donald Trump, hopefully, he knows what's going on. I think he got good advisors. And I hate when they say that he's a narcissist, because I know he's not, because he got Rick Ramaswamy, he got Elon Musk.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Like that, when you're that type of person, you know, you hang out with people like that when you're in a quest, when you're on a journey, you know, to change it and to make a difference. And
Right.
these people need to stop. I listen to sometimes PBS, and I'm like, these guys are crazy. These guys are still. I don't know. I don't want to be divided, but man, these Democrats are. They've been lying. They're bullshit. It's bullshit. Anybody with emotional intelligence can know that man, I don't just tell. Well, we only got a couple seconds, guys.
Yeah, well, it was great talking to you, and I guess one more time next week, huh?
Yes, God willing. Yes, God willing. All right, guys, drink a lot of water, take care of yourselves, support one another, love one another, and don't forget the liquid vitamin D for for the sunlight.
That's right.
All right, guys. All right, take care, man. God bless you guys.
All right.
God bless you.
Thank you for using Global Tellink.
All right, John Bonuelos, always drink your water.
That's what we learned.
I think we'll be all right. So, again, that was James Davis that started out our calls tonight. And then we had Olivia Pollack. And again, these are right off of the NPR website, guys. Easy place to go look for them. Here's her brother. Not such a, unless he's yawning, it's not a very, very nice picture necessarily of Jonathan. He's yelling or yawning. And then this is Rachel Powell, who is in a cell apparently right next to Olivia. So wanted to share that. And then finally, there is a new edition of the Northern Neck Sentinel. It just came out this week. The electronic copy is available online at www.nnsentinel.com. And upper right corner is the book One Question Remains, which was written by Kelly Meggs and Robert Morse. And there's other articles in here related to January 6th. But once again, Northern Neck Sentinel, John Haynes, thank you so much for all your work that you do with this. It's an amazing, one-of-a-kind publication. Battery again. It's the charging unit that I use. It's just not.
Do we have a power pack?
Well, I mean, I've got a power pack, but it's just like, it's sort of like this. You get to a place where it can only go so far. All right. Well, to
Make use of the remaining battery we've got on the camera. Hopefully it doesn't go out. one of the things that I talk about sometimes is the narrative that is put out by the DOJ, by the news media, obviously, and so on. But I just wanted to read again on the NPR website. You can pull up the charging documents, and every single one of these charging documents starts out in this way. And I'm just going to read this for folks, unless you had anything else you wanted to get in. All right. Your affiant, redacted, so that's a name, is a special agent assigned to the Boston Division of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Worcester Resident Agency Office. In my duties as a special agent, I have investigated white-collar crime, crimes in Indian country, and violent crime. Currently, I am tasked with investigating criminal activity in and around the Capitol grounds on January 6, 2021. As a special agent, I am authorized by law or by a government agency to engage in or supervise the prevention, detection, investigation, or prosecution of a violation of federal criminal laws. The U.S. Capitol is secured 24 hours a day by the U.S. Capitol Police. Restrictions around the U.S. Capitol include permanent and temporary security barriers and posts manned by the U.S. Capitol Police. Only authorized people with appropriate identification were allowed access inside the U.S. Capitol, period. On January 6, 2021, the exterior plaza of the U.S. Capitol was also closed to members of the public. On January 6, 2021, a joint session of the United States Congress convened at the United States Capitol, which is located at 1st Street Southeast in Washington, D.C. During the joint session, elected members of the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate were meeting in separate chambers of the United States Capitol to certify the vote count of the Electoral College of the 2020 presidential election, which had taken place on November 3rd, 2020. The joint session began at approximately 1 p.m. Shortly thereafter, by approximately 1:30 p.m., the House and Senate adjourned to separate chambers to resolve a particular objection. Vice President Mike Pence was present and presiding, first in the joint session and then in the Senate chamber. As the proceedings continued in both the House and the Senate, and with Vice President Mike Pence present and presiding over the Senate, a large crowd gathered outside the U.S. Capitol. As noted above, temporary and permanent barricades were in place around the exterior of the U.S. Capitol building, and U.S. Capitol Police were present and attempting to keep the crowd away from the Capitol building and the proceedings underway inside. At such time, the certification proceedings were still underway, and the exterior doors and the windows of the U.S. Capitol were locked or otherwise secured. Members of the U.S. Capitol Police attempted to maintain order and keep the crowd from entering the Capitol. However, around 2 p.m., individuals in the crowd forced entry into the U.S. Capitol, including by breaking windows and by assaulting members of the U.S. Capitol Police, as others in the crowd encouraged and assisted those acts. Shortly thereafter, at approximately 2:20 p.m., members of the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate, including the President of the Senate, Vice President Mike Pence, were instructed to and did evacuate the chambers. Accordingly, the joint session of the United States Congress was effectively suspended until shortly after 8 p.m. Vice President Pence remained in the United States Capitol. From that time, he was evacuated from the Senate chamber until the sessions resumed. So again, that is the first full page of every one of these statements of fact that are in the charging documents. They don't vary much at all. So again, it's a cookie cutter charging document to, again, lay down the groundwork for a narrative that really is just pretty much of a fabrication.
So what we got going on? Where are we at?
We're dying for no apparent reason.
14%, but you got to keep it plugged in with something.
Yeah.
That's true. It's gonna
Find the best
if you've
one.
got it plugged into something and nothing is working.
Try that for a minute.
All
I'll
right.
tell you if it goes up.
Okay, well, this is all being recorded, so let's just go with what we got then. That's all it's going to do. You just have a different cord, that's all you do. Right?
I learned a long time ago, check the cords first.
Yeah, chords first is important, right? But I think it's something else. So, I think this week there was a sentencing for a person named Jared Wise. and this is just a post off of X. I don't know Jared, I haven't communicated with him, but I wanted to read this because it was interesting to me when I found this, several months ago. And his handle on X is @TheWiseJared, Jared. As a former FBI agent and current J6 defendant, it has been unbelievably disappointing and eye-opening to slowly realize the extent of the institutional corruption, rot, and political bias in our law enforcement and justice systems. Those were in quotations. Institutions and people who work there. I witnessed some of this when I was still working in the FBI, but frankly had no idea it was this bad.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. Your current balance is $12.23. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello, Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year to you too. This is Joseph.
Oh, hi Joseph, how you doing?
Pretty good. We're just 9 days out here, and we're ready. I'm excited, and we'll be walking out of here soon. So.
Yes, indeed.
And everyone's getting excited over there.
Oh yeah. So we just talked today with family. They're like, "What do you want to wear? What size are you now?"
Yeah, that's the going question.
I got to tell them the size, 34 of the weight. And they're like, "Wow, that's awesome." I've never really been a 34 in my whole life. I've always been big in the 40s. So pretty exciting.
Wow, that's a big change.
Yeah.
We won't recognize you
about
when we only see that one picture of you. We're not going to recognize you when we do see you.
Yeah, no, 2.5 years ago, I was about 46.
Wow.
So.
And now you're 34? 36 or whatever?
Yeah, 34. Yeah, it should be.
Wow.
I just was when I first got arrested. I was just fitting into 34s, and I've gotten a little smaller since I've been here. So. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And don't forget to get shoes.
Oh yeah. No, I think they have a good pair of boots for me that I had left over. At the house. So
Yeah, that's
should
good.
probably bring those. We got the. You ever seen Danner's hiking boots?
Yes. Yep.
That's what I got. I got a pair of their Danner's combat boots, but very good for hiking, very good for running. They're good all around boot. I like them.
Yeah. That's great. Well.
Should do good in the cold because I know it's going to be cold. I'm hoping that the snow maybe persists. Now, for those outside, they probably don't hope. Those who standing outside for us out here, but I'm hoping the snow stays because for being from Florida, we don't get to see snow very often.
Right.
And last time I think I saw snow was 2019, I think. I went up to that pro-gun rally in Virginia, at the Capitol of Virginia.
Oh, did you really? That was that was, okay. VCDL is the Virginia organization that kind of promoted that, I think. So that was a big deal on Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were got to pass 3 gun bills, and we all went up there and protested, and then they passed them anyway, the next day.
Right.
I think if I remember correctly, that's how that turned out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a cool experience. That day it was my first time ever going to a protest. January 6th was the second time. And
You mean
we
the
went
last
there.
time?
I met Alex Jones.
You did meet Alex Jones?
Which
Wow.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I looked over at the crowd, and everyone was swarming in a big circle, so I pushed myself into the middle of it And I thought I goes, and I was like, oh man, this is, you know, the coolest thing ever, I was thinking, you know, and I was like, hey man, I was like, thank you for being here. And he turned around and looked at me, he was like, no, thank you for being here. And he shook my hand, and I thought that was cool, man.
That's really cool. That is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And, but yeah, it was a good trip, and that was the last time I think I seen snow. I was up in Pennsylvania, it was like 7 degrees, there was snow on the ground. Did a lot of walking in the mountains that trip, and did some hunts and whatnot up there. So, good fun trip all around.
Well, we're supposed to get some more snow tonight, so just look out the window. Do you have a window that you can look out and see the snow fall tonight?
Yeah, I watched it last, I think it was last Saturday, I think it snowed here. I think it was last Saturday. Anyway, I watched it whenever it did, and it was like a time lapse. I don't sleep very well through the night, and so I went to bed at, you know, at 1 a.m., then woke up at 3, then woke up at 5, and as every time I woke up, I looked out the window and I watched the snow stack higher and higher here. So that was like the first time I ever experienced that, getting to see the snow actually gradually get bigger, even though it's, you know, from the inside. But it was neat, you know. So hopefully when we leave, that the cold stays around, and at least the remainder of the snow stays there on the you know, outskirts and whatnot. Yeah, it's just we need to have it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's been pretty. I mean, it's unusual for us here in this portion of Virginia for snow to stay on the ground as long as it has, and it's just been cold enough that it has. And we only got a little bit of melting really yesterday and today.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know, I think in Florida it rained before, or it snowed before I was born one time, back in, I think, like
It snowed when you were, before
Yeah.
your time?
No, before I was born, yeah, before my time. I know it snowed once in Florida, but, yeah, I wasn't alive, but Florida gets it every now and then, every once in a blue moon, I reckon.
Right.
Have they,
Well, how's things,
have they been keeping you
how's
warm
things
over there?
going?
Have they been keeping your cell warm
Yeah.
and, you know, for this cold?
Yeah, no, I mean, it gets pretty cold in the cells at night, but they keep the outside stays a lot warmer. So they did supply us with thermals in a pretty good, timely manner. So right before the last snow, they gave us thermals and whatnot. So that helped, you know. And we got 2 blankets, so you can kind of bundle up enough to make it happen. And so yeah, good stuff. And I guess I was kind of thinking of a topic to speak about, you know, with y'all. And you know, the guys, once they heard Donald Trump, you know, he announced that, you know, he loves us and we keep our chins up. You know, kind of confirmation for everybody in here that he has it. You know, he's coming. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the guys around us said, man, y'all are just going to forget us when you leave.
Huh.
You know, and I was like, no, man, I done told y'all. I was like, you know, the J6ers, we're not just going to forget y'all. I was like, we're gonna go for jail reform, and we're gonna go for judicial reform, because the judicial process is just so messed up. I mean, just the multiple cases I've seen, you know, I'm pro se and so is Purdy, so we get to see a little more than the normal J6er that comes through here, because you get to see the paperwork, you get to see the warrants, you get to see everything, and you have to deal with the prosecution and the judge, and you know, you stand on your rights and you try not to get trampled, but there is no justice. There is no, they act as if your rights don't exist, and they do it to every single person.
Right.
You know, not just J6ers. It's truly disgusting. You know, what's the point of even acknowledging the rights that God gave us, right? If we're not going to honor the acknowledgement of their existence. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
that's why I sent those Hal Woltz books into you guys, because he's been through this very same thing all the way back from 2006 to 2013.
Gone.
Okay, it's done.
Yeah. And yeah, I got it.